Hi, everybody. My name is Nanika Edwards. I'm the poet who penned Craft Market on a Next Level. And I would just like to say thank you so very much to all of the volunteers from around the world who have made this project possible and who joyfully contributed their talent and their time and their enthusiasm. So I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so very much. And in this video, I'm going to be translating the poem Craft Market on a Next Level, which is in Trini dialect Creole English. So in the Caribbean, we have different forms of English or Spanish or French. I assume it's the same thing with Dutch. I'm not too sure. But yes, there are some Dutch islands in the Caribbean, but I can speak for Creole English and say that each English speaking island would have its own version of Creole English. So Jamaican Creole English would be different from Trini Creole English, and it would be different from Creole English from Barbados or St. Kitts and Nevis or Grenada and so on. We all have our own form of dialect in English. And I would assume it's the same thing for French and Spanish, that the Spanish-speaking islands would have their Creole Spanish, and that the French-speaking island, I know the French-speaking islands would have Creole, French Creole. So yeah, in this video, I'm going to be translating the poem Craft Market on a Next Level. Many people who read the poem were scratching their heads about a lot of things. They had questions about some of the things in the poem. And I know that people who are going to be viewing this video who may not be from Trinidad may also have similar questions. So in this video, I'm going to go through the poem and translate it part by part into standard English. So the fact that I have to translate the poem, I think would tell you that Creole English is almost like a separate language unto itself, but it really is more like a branch of English. But even people whose first language is English could very easily have difficulty. That's kind of an oxymoron, but people whose first language is English but who are not Trini may also find it difficult to understand Creole English. In fact, just as much as somebody whose first language may not be English. So yeah, let's take it away. Craft market on a next level. So this means craft market on another level. And Trinidadians tend not to accentuate T's at the end of words, I don't think. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but like we wouldn't say craft market, we probably say craft market and leave off the T on the craft, you know, it'd be craft market on a next level. As you can see, the T is off of next, right? So that's what dialect tends to be like. So the original version of the poem is in black font and the translation is in blue font. Mash breaks. Mash means, in this case, to press down on. So hit the brakes, that is stop your car. As in, you know, mash brakes. And it kind of even has a sense of like a sudden mashing of the brakes, you know? So in this case, I'm saying stop your car and stop fast because you just passed something that you need to pay closer attention to, which of course would be the craft market. Heaven on earth, not no tale for some old wife. Pull up and P2 to one shopping paradise. Heaven on earth is not some old wife's tale. Pull up your car and walk on over to one shopping paradise. One here not meaning, you know, single. It means like it's it's like the best, you know, it's really, really good. And P2 means to walk, and it really means like it's supposed to mimic or reflect the car that you would have on a license plate, like P standing for private, like private car, and two standing for two legs, like the two legs that you're walking on. So P2 is supposed to be like a license plate, but it's really saying that we are going to be our own car in this sense. We will be walking. We will be walking to wherever we're going. P2. I think I got that right. And by the way, Trinis who are listening to this, if I get anything wrong, and I might very well get stuff wrong because dialect is not entirely my forte, but if I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me. You may hear that I have a bit of an accent. That's because I was born in Canada, but I grew up in Trinidad. I came here when I was 3 years old, but I never completely lost my Canadian accent. So Trinidadians often ask me if I'm Trini, and I always feel kind of sad and a little insulted when people ask me that. But yes, I am Trini, but to some Trinis, I may not sound completely Trini or maybe even Trini at all, but yes, I'm Trini, and I'm also Canadian. All right. Go check them out on the greens. Go check them out on the greens if you haven't yet been. So actually a lot of people I've noticed, I have some of the audio coming in already. I don't have all of it, but I've noticed that people think that out is a mistake. So they only read one out, but it should be read twice. Go check them out on the greens if you haven't yet been. So go check them out on the grass if you haven't yet been. I think that's pretty straightforward. The Rara Craft Market looking well smashing, and all the vendors and them lashing. The Rara Craft Market looks really smashing, and all of the vendors are fantastic. And so Rara isn't really, well, I guess it kind of is dialect, because Rara is supposed to represent, as far as I know, a lot of noise, like when people making a lot of noise and a ruckus kind of thing. So it's like, I don't know if ruckus is the right thing, but I don't know if ruckus is the right word, but when people are loud and noisy, we use the word rara, you know, it represents noise. And well, of course, smashing is probably more American. I think you look smashing, you know, that's probably more, I don't know, British or American. But and all the vendors and them lashing. Lashing is not a term that I grew up knowing. I think it's from the younger generation, as far as I knew. I didn't know this word growing up, but lashing, from the context that I hear it being used in, means like it's really, really good. I guess it means like it's beating up on all the competition. Anything that could compete with it, lashing, giving it licks. I assume that's the idea behind that. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me. All the vendors and them. So when we use the word all, very often we might put and them to go along with it. All the vendors. You could say all the vendors lashing, but all the vendors and them is emphatic. Carol Phulourie, now that is boss, including the mango chutney sauce. Carol's Phulourie, now that is the best, or that is chief, including the mango chutney sauce. So people were confused about Phulourie. First of all, I know it says it has PH at the beginning of the word, but we don't pronounce the PH there as F, like an F sound. We pronounce it like a P sound, like a P sound. And so we say Phulourie. Phulourie is an East Indian finger food. It's like round balls of chickpea, what to call it, dough, or chickpea, kind of like what to call it, chickpea chickpea batter, I would say, chickpea batter that you deep fry, and they deep fry into these little balls that you can dip in mango chutney sauce, and it's really, really yummy. And it was interesting that neither of my volunteers from India said, oh, we have this in India. So I know India is a big place, and they may have a lot of stuff that maybe even people in India may not know everything that's there, but I don't think phulourie is something that you would find in India. I'm assuming that it's something unique to Trinidad. And now that is boss. That is boss. That is boss is a very Trini phrase. It means like that is really good, or that is the best. And people were wondering, by the way, going back to the phulourie, people were wondering if phulourie was Carol's surname, but Carol phulourie is Carol's phulourie. We just leave off the apostrophe S on Carol. That's typical of Trini dialect. She making it fresh right on the spot and brown bagging it for you nice and hot. She's making it fresh right on the spot and putting it in a brown bag for you nice and hot. And you're gonna see that I italicized some of the words in the poem. I did it for the benefit of my volunteers. I didn't want to throw them in completely at the deep end, although we wanted this to be as natural as possible. But I wanted them to know which words we probably would have naturally emphasized when we're speaking, although I think a Trini reading this poem without the italicized words would have known exactly which words to emphasize. She making it fresh right on the spot and brown baggin. Brown baggin means she puts it in a brown bag. Phulourie is often served in a brown bag. It could also be served in a clear plastic bag, either a brown bag or a clear plastic bag. But at the craft market, which actually happened at the end of April 2022, Carol was there making phulourie on the spot, and that is true. She was making it on the spot, and she was putting it in brown bags. So yeah, so it was that's where the brown baggin came from. Okay, and by the way, the word nice is a word that we love to use in Trini talk. It's, I think, a Trini's favorite adjective, their go-to adjective, our go-to adjective. I think we overuse it, but it's definitely very Trini. So yeah, nice. And it even has sandwich would be back thing from the mall, fish, burger, hot dog at a friendly stall. And there are even sandwiches that outclass ones that you would find at the mall. Fish, burgers, hot dogs at a friendly stall. Topped with toppings and condiments fit for a king, like garlic sauce and caramelized onion rings. Topped with toppings and condiments fit for a king, like garlic sauce and caramelized onion rings. So pho, and I think we saw it in the previous slide, means four, and we use that a lot. And by the way, the word garlic, I'd like to just mention that a Trini, some Trinis would say garlic, but a lot of Trinis would say gallic. A lot of Trinis would say gallic. They'd put a Y between the G and the A. We also do that for C and A. Sometimes, like Trinis often, some Trinis probably wouldn't say Canada. They would say Canada, Canada. And same thing for the garlic, gallic, gallic. And we tend not to emphasize R sounds. So R sounds tend to get lost. So we wouldn't say garlic, we say gallic. And if you feel you go lay in the tropic heat, then down a cool yourself slushy smoothie treat. And if you think you'll faint, trip and, well, telele really means, I think, to trip and fall over, but I don't even think that's the original meaning. Telele, I think it has something to do with some type of cloth, but in a song that has become popular, it means fall over. So that's how I knew it, and that's how I meant it in the poem, meaning if you fall over from feeling faint from the heat, right? So if you think you'll faint in the tropic heat, then drink a cool yourself slushy smoothie treat. And in Trinidad dialect, TH tends to be made into a D, sometimes a T. So for example, if you're saying the number 3, a lot of Trinis would say tree. Or if you're saying 30, a lot of Trinis would say 30. And I've had Trinis tell me they cannot pronounce TH, you know, so that's definitely a very Trini thing. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, by the way, yeah, telele was something a lot of people were wondering about. One person so far thought it actually meant toot, to toot. I guess if you're telele, you could toot by accident, but telele does not mean to toot their cousin Miles. So telele. Try to come out early when you're passing through. Them drinks that sell out like fete tickets for Canival 2022. Try to come out early when you're passing through. Those drinks sell out like party tickets for Carnival 2022. So for people familiar with French, you would probably know that fete comes from French and it means party. And canival is carnival. A lot of Trinis wouldn't say carnival, they would say canival. Canival. Milky coffee delight or juicy mango joy. Pick quick. Chocolate topped heaven or beyond quenchers with a citrus kick. So that's pretty easy. That doesn't need any translation. One thing I should say is that I grew up speaking standard English, and my mom is a retired English teacher, high school English teacher. And my parents, I don't remember my parents growing up. I don't remember, excuse me. I don't remember my parents speaking dialect around us that much. Maybe as I got older, maybe more my father, but my mother didn't speak dialect around us. They always, I think they generally spoke standard English. It's only now in her more senior years that my mother opts to speak dialect. I think it's because for her, standard English maybe feels like a straitjacket, and she's at the stage in her life where she wants to do what she wants and say what she wants, and I think that speaking dialect as her reflexive choice is her saying, I want to do what I want to do, you know. So now she speaks more dialect. She speaks far less standard English. But I did not grow up speaking standard dialect. I grew up speaking standard English. So dialect, like I mentioned before, doesn't always come naturally to me, but I love it. I really enjoy dialect. I think it's very dramatic and very interesting. And do talk for we Cazabon artists coming up stars with prints and posters at our Boss Bazaar. So first of all, people were asking who Cazabon is. Cazabon is or was an artist. I don't know that much about him, but his work, which focused a lot on colonial type scenes of, I guess, like plantations and I don't know, things like that, can be found in our National Museum in the capital. He was I believe he was a painter, and he did, as far as I know, a lot of watercolor paintings. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me, but Cazabon is perhaps one of our most classic artists, probably along with people like the now deceased Leroy Clark. Yeah, like Leroy Clark. So don't talk for means let's not even talk about. So don't talk for really means let's not even talk about, but it really means the opposite. It really means let's talk about it. So it's kind of contrary, if we want to put it like that. That's another word Trinis like to use, contrary. It's a kind of contrary way of putting things. We Cazabon artists coming up, and don't talk for we Cazabon artists coming up start. So there, I just mean that these artists are so good that they're in the class of Cazabon, you know, just a little promotional glitz and glamour, right? So with prints and posters at our boss bazaar. So with TH could also sometimes become D, like you see with, right? The TH on the end becomes D. And again, we have boss bazaar. Boss is a word that Trinidadians really like to use. Bazaar is not a word that I think we use all that often in Trini English, but, and as a matter of fact, we have a mall in Trinidad called Grand Bazaar. Grand Bazaar. All right. Digital acrylic watercolor pieces of wonder at prices that won't have your bank account going under. Digital acrylic watercolor pieces of wonder at prices that won't have your bank account going under. Now, the other thing I got to say about Creole English and Standard English is that some Trinis are bilingual. We can speak both Creole and Standard English. Some, like myself, might be more comfortable with Standard English, and some may be more comfortable with Creole English. And there are some people who, there are many Trinis for whom Standard English is really like a second language. So there are different variations, but in the working world, in, you know, like interviews and so on, typically people would be, depending on the context and depending on the type of job, people would be expected to use Standard English, but Creole English is used to, it's a language of friendship, you know, it's a language of playfulness and bonding. So people tend to mix it up, you know, like you could be speaking Standard English, and then when you have something like a story to share or an opinion to share, you might break into dialect, right? Our politicians often use dialect. The dialect is often the language of politics because it's the expression that allows politicians to really connect with people. If you look even at Facebook posts where people are giving their opinions about things happening in the news and so on, a lot of times the comments are in Creole English because that is the language of drama. It is colorful, it is expressive, and in a lot of ways it's more expressive for us than Standard English. So you find people will use Standard English a lot, Creole English a lot, even if you may be in a setting where you probably would think it wouldn't be used. Digital acrylic watercolor pieces of wonder at prices that won't have your bank account going under. It even have a thing called epoxy, what make with creative class. You ever hear about that? It come like collage encased in glass. There's even a thing called epoxy that is made with creative glass. Have you ever heard about that? It's kind of like a collage encased in glass. So ting is thing, and call is called. Epoxy is a type of resin. You could probably look that up. And not necessarily something that's a Trini craft thing, but at the Rara craft market, there was a vendor or a set of vendors who specialize in epoxy craft. What make with? That is made with. That's a very Trini way of putting that. You ever hear about that? And by the way, when we say hair, again, the Y may come in. Instead of saying hair, people may say here. You ever hear about that? And I feel like sometimes Creole English, if you want to speak it well, you have to have a kind of ignorant attitude. When I say ignorant, I mean like ignorant in the Trini sense. Like you just speak your mind, you say what you want to say, how you want to say it, and you just don't care what other people think. I feel like you have to have a kind of ignorant attitude when you're speaking Creole English. You know, they say that, you know, if you're learning another language, very often you change personalities when you switch from your native tongue to the language that you're learning. And that's very true. And I think Creole English is no different. So if I'm speaking standard English, then I'm being very proper and so on. And that's how I feel, I guess. But if I speak standard English, then there's a kind of ignorant meaning, ignorant could be in two senses. Ignorant as in a bit uneducated, and ignorant in the sense of stubborn, kind of tough and bad, not bad mind, but there's something I want to say, but I don't want to say it because I'm not sure if kids will be listening to this, but it's a kind of badass attitude, you know. Forgive me for saying that, but it's a kind of, you have to have a real bajon attitude when you're talking Creole. Bajon meaning like a thug, or like a, I'm probably giving the wrong impression, but you just have to have a toughness to you when you're speaking Creole English. You know, I think that's what I think of when I think of Creole English, and the character that I step into and the personality that I step into when I speak Creole English. I don't know if you guys would agree with me. You can put some comments in the comment section and let me know. All right. And come like is a very Trini way of putting things. It come like means it's like, but we would say it come like, right? You could get it as a food tray or as nice thing to hang. It could even put down as flooring. Dang. You could get it as a food tray or as a nice thing to hang up. It could even be used as flooring. Dang. Oh, and come get flowers and plenty plants. Roam tabletop gardens of Eden on a promising piece of land. Promising piece of land. And they probably wouldn't say gardens. I said that like Canadian. They would say gardens or gardens. They wouldn't emphasize the R. I tend to emphasize my R's. Oh, and come get flowers and lots of plants, or plenty of plants. That's where the plenty comes from. Excuse me, I guess it's almost like Shakespearean English, or maybe Elizabethan English, I'm not sure. Roam tabletop gardens of Eden on a promising piece of land. And you know, throughout the poem, what I'm doing is I'm putting images of where I'm comparing the craft market to heaven. So promising piece of land is supposed to sound like the promised land. Plenty is a word that Trinidadians love to use. And I remember when I used to teach English to Venezuelans, they always commented on this and they picked it up pretty quickly. They love to use the word plenty. It's very funny to hear a Venezuelan use the word plenty. You know, it's quite amusing. But plenty is a word we love to use. And we use it without of. So we drop the of and it just becomes plenty. And sniff the sweetest homemade soap that good for eternal youth. Them come like natural magic-wokin potions that go make all your pores holler and hoot. And sniff the sweetest homemade soap that is good for eternal youth. They're like natural magic working potions that will make all your pores holler and hoot. So in Trinidad, instead of work, people say walk, right? If somebody says, I need a job, they might say, I need a walk. So yeah, work, walk. You could sud with chocolate or lavender cakes. Bars made with noni or lemon scented ladder and mix. Grab your goodies before all get take. You could soak with chocolate or lavender cakes or lavender. A lot of Trinis would say lavender. I would probably typically say lavender, but I know Trinis would say lavender. Bars made with noni or lemon scented lather and mix. Grab your goodies before all get taken. Sorry. Grab your goodies before all get taken. So I think that's pretty straightforward. Some people were asking what noni is. Noni is a fruit, and it's supposed to have very useful health benefits. It's supposed to be very good for, I don't know, different things. It seems to be good for everything if you ask me. I'm not too sure, but the fruit, as far as I know, either doesn't taste very good or doesn't smell very good. I can't remember which, but noni is a fruit, and this is what it looks like. And if you're looking for the finest wooden craft, then Lala go fix you up nice and fast. And if you're looking for the finest wooden crafts, then Lala will take care of you nice and fast. And fast means fast. Now, in Trinidad, fast could have different meanings. So on the one hand, it could be talking about speed, like you're fast, you're real fast, you know, like you can run fast or something like that. But it could also mean being nosy. I guess in that sense, it's like you're very quick to run, to stick your nose in people's business, right? That means you're fast. We would say that somebody like that is fast, right? Or fast and out of place if somebody is sticking their nose where you think it doesn't belong. Let's say somebody tells you something, as a Trini would say, that's out of timing, out of timing, telling you something that is insulting or, you know, just upsetting or offensive, and you would say they fast and out of place, right? Fast and out of place. And then you have fix you up. Fix you up also has different meanings. So fix you up could mean take care of you. Like if I go to like if you go to a food place and you order some local food or whatever you're ordering, and you want the person to give you, you know, I don't know, a good piece of chicken or, you know, food that looks presentable, or you just want them to give you a lot of food or something like that. You could say, you know, fix me up nice, fix me up nice. Or they would, or the person behind the counter might say, I'll fix you up nice, I'll fix you up nice. And but fix you up could also mean put you in your place. I don't know if that's a Trini term, put you in your place. Like fix you up could mean if you step out of line, then the person who fixes you up is gonna make sure you step back where you belong, you know, metaphorically speaking. I remember my father used to use this phrase a lot. He said, I'll fix you up. But he used to use it in a kind of humorous way, you know, fix you up, I'll fix you up, you know. holler. I'll take care of you in a different sense, right? All right. With frames for plant pots and mini vintage cars, or fine Christmas trees that selling like hot rock cakes from Mars. So I think this is pretty straightforward. And I assume that you're taking note of the different little variations between standard English and Creole English. I'm not going into every single one because then the video would just be way too long, but with frames for plants and mini vintage cars, or fine Christmas trees that are getting sold like hot rock cakes from Mars. So selling, getting sold. And I go have you to know Lala is a lady, and the quality as she walk done miles from shady. And I will inform you with some attitude that Lala is a lady and the quality of her work is miles from being shady. I go have you to know. I go have you to know is a very loaded statement, and it's usually said with a lot of attitude behind it. So I go have you to know means I'm going to inform you. In this case, I go have you to know is just saying I'm letting you know, but it could also be used to mean, let me tell you something, as in I'm about to put you in your place, right? I go have you to know, right? So that's a very Trini phrase. She easy, I have to say, and I'm proud that she could handle she carpentry stories all the way. Don't watch her slight. Now that's a very Trini phrase, but it means like she shouldn't be underestimated. You know, like if somebody says, don't watch you slight, or don't watch me slight, means don't underestimate me. I'm capable of more than you think I'm capable of. And I'm proud that she can handle, I'm proud that she can totally handle doing carpentry. So when you say somebody could handle their stories, it means that either they can stand up for themselves, or they're very competent at what they're doing. So for example, if you say David's trying to push such and such a person around, somebody might say, don't worry, she could handle she stories. Don't worry, she could handle she stories. Don't worry, she can handle herself. She's okay. She can take care of herself. That's what handle your stories can also mean. Right. This day fair is a toute-bagai thing brimming with talent galore. A place with gallery and custom jewelry, tote bags, dandan, and so much milk and honey more. How all you busting down Angel Gabriel door? This day fair is a comprehensive thing brimming with a whole lot of talent. A place that is showing off or showcasing custom jewelry, tote bags, fancy clothing, and so much milk and honey more. How come you guys aren't breaking down Angel Gabriel's door? So toute-bagai comes from French. I believe it means tout bagage. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but tout means all, and I think bagai is supposed to be bagage. So meaning all kinds of things, or everything, all kinds of things, right? Everything you could pack in a suitcase, I guess, is a kind of idea that you're getting there. Galore, I don't know if this is used in standard English, but galore means a lot. A place with gallery, and gallery means to show off, to showcase. Your gallery is like your veranda, and so your gallery is a part of your house that people often could see, say from the road, or they don't have to be in your yard to see your gallery. So gallerian has the idea of showing something, making something visible to the public, but it also has a sense of like showing off or showcasing, like, yeah. And dandan means fancy clothing. I mean, I've heard people kind of debate about this, and I'd be happy if people put something in the comments about what they see as dandan. As far as I know, dandan is fancy clothes, right? Your fancy clothes. Watch any nice dandan. And I guess it could be for men or women, as far as I know. Dandan, fancy clothes. I don't know what language it comes from. But since it's doubled, I wouldn't be surprised if it's maybe from a West African language. I'm not too sure. Hopefully one of my volunteers is going to comment on that. I'll see. How all you a bussin down Angel Gabriel door? Bussin means burst. Down means down. Bussin in this case means breaking down Angel Gabriel's door. So again, you have the whole metaphor with heaven and all of that, the craft market being like heaven, you know. And bus is a very Trini word, like for example, East Indian food, an East Indian type of food that we have in Trinidad is called bus up shot. And it literally means bursted up shirt. And when I was little, I didn't understand that. I always thought it was just bus up short. I didn't understand what it meant, but maybe in my 20s, I made the discovery that bus up short means bursted up shirt. And it's a type of bread, almost kind of like naan, but lighter. And it's ripped up. That's why it's called bus up short, like burst up shirt. And yeah, so bus is a very commonly used word in Creole English. I'm telling you, this come like a bess-bess 7. Just now, all a tongue could be storming heaven. I'm telling you, this is the absolute best number 7. Soon, in a little while, all of town, so tongue is town, everyone, all of town will be storming heaven. So I think one of the news stations, one of the TV stations on the news channel, on one of the news programs, they have something called What Tongue Say, or they used to, when they would go interview people in the street and see what people were saying about specific events and so on that would have been topical. So tongue is town, and it has a sense of everyone. And I'm telling you, that is a very Trini thing to say. I'm telling you, I am about to tell you, blah, 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 right? This come like a bess-bess 7. Excuse me. This come like a bess-bess 7. Bess-bess, I have heard that the doubling of adjectives and so on comes from, I think maybe Yoruba, I'm not too sure, because they don't have a word for vary. So when the slaves wanted to kind of convey that sense of vary something or the other, they would double the adjective, or I guess, yeah, I think they double the adjective. So for example, we might say something like it nice, or it's sweet, or something like that. So bess-bess. 7 is a concept that a lot of Christians would be familiar with, that 7 is the number of completion or perfection in the Bible, because God created the earth in 6 days and he rested on the 7th day. So 7 is seen as the number of perfection, of completion. And so when I say this come like a bess-bess 7, again, I'm using terminology that's supposed to make readers think of, or viewers or listeners think of heaven. Just now, in a little while, all a tongue will be storming heaven. So storming is a word that Trinis would understand right away. Usually storming means like when you go and gain entrance to a party, like a public party or even a private party, but something that's supposed to, maybe you're supposed to pay for, or you should have had a ticket or an invitation, and you storm. Storm means to get in without having been invited, or not getting in the appropriate way, in an appropriate way. You're kind of getting in a dishonest kind of way. That's storming, right? Storming. I guess it happens a lot, or else it wouldn't have made its way into our dialect. If your egg go yet, you're missing out. But please don't bawl or long out your mouth. If you haven't gone yet, you're missing out. But please don't wail or pout. So long out your mouth means when when you pout, your mouth gets a little long, kind of stick out your mouth, or your bottom lip kind of sticks out. You roll it over and it sticks out. So that's long out your mouth. Ball means to wail, right? Ball down, we would say somebody ball down the place, right? And if your egg go yet, I think that's pretty clear if you haven't gone, right? Okay. Is now or never. The tense and them and go pitch up forever. So ER at the end of a word will become never, forever. It's now or never. And even on or, we might not pronounce the R. It's now or never. Those tense won't be pitched up forever. Time done tapping the toes and tick, 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 tock, tick it. Come now, don't be sticking. Time is already tapping his toes and tick, 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 tock, tick it. Come on now, don't take a long time to do this. Sticking literally means you're stuck on the spot. You're sticking, you're taking too long to do something that you should really be doing, right? You're sticking. That's a very Trini phrase. And do is a very Trini phrase. Don't. Right? Do, don't. Pick up yourself and go join in. To not be there dies the unforgivable sin. So, I think if I want to let me give the translation. Pick yourself up, get up, and go join in. To not be there, that's the unforgivable sin. So typically, I think a Trini would say, pick up yourself and go join in. Not just in, but in. Pick up yourself and go join in. To not be there dies the unforgivable sin. But I have to pronounce it as in so that it rhymes with sin. So, and dies means that's, dies. That's the unforgivable sin. So that's it. That's a poem. I hope you enjoyed that. Craft Market on a Next Level. And I have to say, I love dialect, but it doesn't always come naturally to me. I think it has become a bit more natural, simply because I use it more than I used to, simply because I've used it in so many poems. I think I can write it or recite it at least a little more easily than I can always say it off the top of my head, but I'm not doing too badly. I'm coming along very nicely, I think. Sometimes people laugh when they hear me use dialect, especially when I use it perfectly, because they're not usually expecting that to come out of my mouth, right? But I love dialect, and yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this poem. And in the if you'd like to add comments in the comment section, feel free. I would welcome them. I don't know everything there is to know about dialect, I leave that for the experts. But I did grow up here, so I know quite a bit. And I do hope that you enjoyed that. And for people who are new to Trini dialect, I hope that this explanation was helpful for you. So we will soon be moving on to the videos from our volunteers. And I hope that you would appreciate the effort that they have all made to nail dialect. A lot of them were very concerned about whether they were getting it right and so on, but I wasn't expecting people to get it right. And I was looking forward to people getting things wrong, because that's going to be very entertaining for us Trinis. In a nice way. You know, we like to laugh at people, usually not in a mean way. We just like to laugh and have a good time, right? We even laugh at ourselves. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that, and that's it for now.